In a quiet little town in Georgia, the streets were unusually still that evening. You know those moments when the wind doesn't just rustle the trees, but kind of stirs something deep inside you? Yeah, this was one of those nights. The roads were empty, the air hushed. Families were gathered around dinner tables, sharing stories from their day. But somewhere in that silence, a giant figure was making his way through the shadows. Shaquille O'Neal was in town. No big entrance, no flashing lights, just a hoodie, sweatpants, and a purpose. Now, what I'm about to tell you might sound like something out of a movie, but I promise, this really happened. And stories like this, they remind me that real heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes, they wear size 20 tissues. Shaq had been through tough times growing up. He knew what it meant to struggle, to watch your parents sacrifice just to put food on a table. And maybe that's why, when he passed a small grocery store and saw a mother and her little boy standing outside worried, uncertain, he stopped. The boy was clutching a carton of milk tightly in his hands, his eyes bouncing back and forth between his mom and the cashier. The woman was counting out coins, hands trembling, hoping it would be enough. Shaq saw that, and he didn't hesitate. He stepped forward and gently said, "Excuse me, ma'am." His voice was deep but kind. At first, the woman didn't recognize him. Just a tall, polite stranger. But when their eyes met, she realized. "Are you Shaquille O'Neal?" she asked, stunned. Shaq simply smiled and handed the cashier a $100 bill. "Keep the change," he said with a wink. The woman's eyes welled with tears. I don't even know how to thank you." "No need," Shaq replied warmly. "Just take care of your little man." The boy looked up at him with wide eyes and asked, "Are you a giant?" Shaq laughed, a deep, booming sound that filled the quiet air. "Something like that, little man." He reached down to shake the boy's hand, his massive palm wrapping almost entirely around the kid's arm. As he walked away, Shaq felt that familiar peace settle in his chest, but he knew one good deed wasn't enough. He hadn't come here to make a moment, he'd come to make a difference. Next stop, a small family-owned restaurant on the verge of shutting down, once the heart of the town, now barely hanging on. Inside, the warmth was still there, but so was the uncertainty. The owner, Mr. Jenkins, was behind the counter, counting a stack of unpaid bills. His wife, her hair streaked with silver, wiped down tables slowly, tiredly. Shaq stepped up. "How's business?" he asked. Mr. Jenkins hesitated. "Not great. This place has been in my family for 50 years, but we might not make it." Shaq nodded, already knowing what came next. "What if I covered your bills?" he said, like he was talking about the weather. Mr. Jenkins blinked. "Come again?" "I'm serious," Shaq said. "Whatever it takes to keep this place open, I got it." The old man's hand shook. His wife came rushing over, eyes full of hope. "You mean we won't have to close?" Shaq smiled. "Not on my watch." By the next morning, word had spread. Shaquille O'Neal hadn't just visited, he was changing lives. He paid off debts at grocery stores, left massive tips at diners, even went to the town's only toy shop, and bought every bike in stock, asking the owner to give them to kids in need. He dropped by the barber shop and paid for everyone's haircuts for a month. He visited the struggling elementary school and donated laptops for students who couldn't afford them. And he did it all without cameras, without publicity, because he could. Because he believed that if you can help someone, you should. Later that afternoon, he stopped by a rundown auto repair shop. The owner, Carl, was elbows deep in grease, working on an old pickup truck. "Hey there, big guy," Carl said, glancing up. "What brings you here?" Shaq looked around. The place was nearly empty, tills worn down, bills piling up. He'd heard Carl was close to shutting down. "You any good at what you do?" Shaq asked. Carl wiped his hands on a rag and nodded. "Best in town," Shaq smiled. "Good, because it looks like you could use a little help. I'm saying, whatever it takes to get this shop back on its feet, I'll take care of it." Carl paused, That's gonna cost a lot. Then we better get started. By sunset, Carl's debts were paid, new tools were on the way, and the shop was already seeing new customers. The town felt different, lighter, hopeful. That evening, Shaq stood outside the family restaurant, watching the Jenkins couple laugh for the first time in weeks. The lights inside glowed not from worrying, but from hope. And just then, a young boy came running up, grinning from ear to ear. "Mr. Shaq, I got a new bike today. They said it was from you." Shaq knelt down to the boy's level. "You like it?" The kid nodded furiously. "It's awesome." "Thank you so much, Mr. Shaq." Shaq ruffled the boy's hair and said, "Just promise me one thing." "What's that?" "When you grow up, help others. Keep the kindness going." The boy nodded solemnly. "I promise." Shaq smiled as he walked back to his car. A deep sense of peace filled him. In just one day, an entire town had been transformed. And for Shaquille O'Neal, that meant more than any championship ring ever could. Before he drove off, he took one last look at the town. The restaurant lights still shine not from struggle, but from rebirth. He came to help, but what he witnessed was the true power of kindness. And deep down, he knew this wouldn't be the last time. Because if you have the power to change lives, why wouldn't you?